Sachin. Your good name? Rohit. Sachin, pass the pen to Rohit. Your good name? Chinmay. Chinmay. What is your name? Deepika. Pass it to Deepika. You again pass it back to them. Was it the only way to pass the pen? You should have thrown it, right? Why you have choose to pass it to one by one? Decency. You felt this is not the place to do that. Correct? Similarly, we'll try with the mobile. Can I try? Let us use the playground. Can I try? Yes, because you are not the owner of the product. Correct? Yes? So, what we can understand from this? About the book, if you have the respect, will you throw it? Will one by one will pass it, right? So, what you can understand out of this? Is it a supply chain basically? Is it related to our discussion, what we are discussing? So, whenever we are discussing about the supply chain, we need to think of three things. One is where we are moving the goods. Second one, what is the kind of goods, and where we are going to reach the goods. What is the objective of reaching the goods? Correct? These three are important. So, if you are dealing in an organization, can we deal like a student, like going one place to another place? Because there is certain value attached to a product. It may be a raw material, it may be a finished good, it may be a packaging material. Every unit has its own value in the supply chain, entire supply chain. Correct? Yes or no? In those cases, how you going to organize all these things? That is basic supply chain. Behind this supply chain, there is one more thing. What is that? For entire supply chain, I can say it's in blood veins. What is that? Without that, nothing is going to happen. What is that? Everything is there, but one thing is very important. Without us, nothing is going to happen. Duddu. You have the factory, you have the employees, you have the resources, everything. But without money, can you do anything? To mobilize everything, its a root is finance. Without having the proper money, you cannot move a single product from one place to another place. Within the factory or outside the factory or anywhere. Will you agree with me? How many of you don't agree? Finance is very important than other things. This is what my statement. How many will agree? Okay, only two. The rest of them, they are not agreeing. It is fine, not a problem. See, every resource has its value. But without finance, you cannot give any value and life. Life will come only through a finance. If you have all the resources, still without finance, it's a die product. You cannot mobilize. Say for example, you have a car, but without fuel or energy, how can you move the car? Similar, any organization without finance don't move anywhere. It will stuck. So, when it comes to the supply chain, can you give me 2 minutes, whatever you heard for around 40-50 minutes, can you give me a 2 minutes background, what you have learned or what you understood supply chain? ಯಾರಾದ್ರು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. Anyone? Just 2 minutes. 1 minute? 30 seconds? 15 seconds? No one. ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿಕಾಮ್ BBA ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಕಾಮ್ BBA ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಚೈನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಜನರಲ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ? Do you know or not? If you don't respond, it will be embarrassing for me. Okay. Now, what we are discussing is finance in supply chain. What is the importance of finance? How it works in the industry? Typically, any industry, it might be service industry, is a product industry, or an import, export, or any kind of industry, how it is important. That's what I am going to tell you. First one is foundations. So what do you mean by foundation? I have divided into 4 parts. One is foundation, second one is working capital, and financing, supply chain, and the technology and risk matrix. These are 4 parts what I want to divide the topic into. Now, when it comes to foundation, what do you mean by really foundation is? In finance, with respect to supply chain is a broader thing, right? From raw material to the sale of goods or deliver of goods, entire comes under the supply chain. Now, this entire chain is linked with the finance directly. Now, without finance, I said there is nothing going to happen, because if you want the product from your vendor, you need to pay. If you want the product to be delivered, you should have the money. So it's a flow of money from one person to another person. Like product moves in the opposite direction, finance moves. Yes or no? Say for example, a vendor is sending raw materials to you. You are sending money to your vendor. Similarly, product is under process. You are paying for the wages or employees. Similarly, you are going to pay to the employees. Similarly, the product moves to the customer. From customers to the company, finance moves. That means a product or any product line moves from upwards to downwards. Similar way, from downwards to upwards, the finance moves. It's a totally opposite way. Now, how you are going to optimize your finances? Will the finance come free of cost? What are the ways it has the cost? Finance has associated with some cost, right? What are the kinds of cost association? From where and all you get the finance?
Financial institution.
No, what are the ways? That means in your books of accounts, if you see your balance sheet, how you can raise your finances? Simple. I don't go into anything. You open your balance sheet. In what are the liability side, you can raise the finances. Equity. Very good. Next. Debentures. Charge creation. Okay. For why you create a charge?
For example, as a security purpose.
No, that means you are taking a loan. You are taking a loan. Next, if you go by the balance sheet, how many have done the corporate balance sheets? I think second PU or first BCom or second PU, somewhere you have drawn the company balance sheets. How many? Can you give me the format of your balance sheet? Liability side?
Equities and liabilities.
Equities and liabilities, what it contains? First is equity, next is preference capital, next is reserves and reserves accumulated, then debentures, if at all, then secured, unsecured loans, then comes current liabilities, what it includes, your regular vendor payments or your outstanding payables. Yes, this is the ways you can see the liabilities, what it denotes. These are all the ways you can raise your funds. Correct or no? From where you will get the fund? These are all the ways you can raise the fund. That is liability to the company. How you get the money into the system, that is your liability. Now, which is the costliest financing mode?
Depends.
Yes, madam said very clearly. Equity. Why? First of all, equity will have any cost for the equity?
Yes. Ownership.
Ownership. I am asking about the cost. Is there any associated cost for the equity? Dividend. Are you promising any dividend for equity shareholder?
No.
Then still why we say it isn't very costly?
It depends upon the profit earned.
Correct. But I am saying equity is the costliest financing mode. Why it is so?
They expect more.
Yes. Because in other modes, the expectation is limited to the agreement. Say for example, preferentials. If it is 12% preferentials, you are agreeing for 12%. If you pay, they are going to satisfy. If the debentures 18%, you will pay. If the bank loan 12% or 15%, you will pay. Then settle the matter. But when it comes to equity, the expectation is much more. They don't satisfy your 10%, 12%, 15%. They always expect more than the returns what you pay for the other vendors. If you are paying highest 18%, they'll expect more than 18%. There is no limit for the equity where you can say that this is I am going to pay. Nothing like that. Because their expectation is always beyond whatever the other commitments. So the highest risk and highest expectation is on the equity shareholders. Always, because they take the risk more, they expect the more in case of returns. But in case of other things, you have limited exposure because it's a committed liability. Already you have committed 12%, 15%, whatever the rate you have agreed, that is committed liability. Only in case of equity, it is more riskier, not for the company, for the investor, for the company to satisfy the risk return pattern, that is the riskier for the company. Now, how you are going to balance these items when it comes to, there is a finance requirement, how you are going to decide which one you need to take? Because we have so many criteria, right? Or so many ways you can raise the funds. Primarily, how you decide how to take the funds?
We calculate first cost of capital and then go to capital.
Okay. You arrived some cost of capital.
And we'll see arrive also capital structure with different combinations, and we'll ensure that which combination has the best cost for us.
Okay, I will put it into reverse. You are going by the cost. I am going by the investment. I will go with the investment. Why I am raising the funds? Is it for the working capital purpose, or for the investment for the new plant, or something like that, or for what exactly I am raising the fund? That makes the sense of how to raise the fund. Say for example, you are establishing a plant, new plant. It may take erection itself 3 years. After that, production and getting the yield. It may take entire lifespan of 10 years, let us assume. Now, which one you choose? Because initial 3 to 5 years, you don't have any money. You are not generating anything. Simply you are investing and investing. You don't get any returns. In these situations, how you decide? Which one we choose out of these modes?
Bonds is the cheapest.
So we'll go with the equity. Because I said equity has more expectation, but at the same time there is no commitment. So I'll go with the equity, at least raise for this purpose. Post 5 years we can give the better yield for them. Because there is no cost involved in initial stages. Let us assume there is a short-term working capital is required. There is a specific order you got where you don't have the money to execute. First of all, if there is a specific order, why you need a fund? Why you need a fund? Say for example, I am manufacturing pens. Now Government of India have given me around 100 crores turnover. Value of pens we need to deliver. Why we need a fund first of all?
Purchase of raw material.
Okay, purchase of raw material. Then you sit and as a manufacturer and you think, what is the need? You have the full hand of 100 crores turnover, value of goods you need to produce. Now you need the funds. For what are all the requirement of your funds? If you go by the supply chain, you can imagine what are the things you need. One is raw material, machinery, then employees, electricity. So there is a portion of direct expenses and indirect expenses. Now direct expenses has more problem or indirect expenses has more problem? Indirect. Why? Sorry? No, indirect expenses, why is a more riskier? What at all, what is indirect expense involved? Can you give me?
Maintenance.
Maintenance, okay. Rent, electricity, salaries. I'll take two primary reasons why it is indirect is very, very important. One is employee cost, infrastructure cost. That is salaries and rent. It makes a very, very important role in your decision making because it is a committed cost. If you hire 100 employees, you cannot immediately remove them. If you take a premises for the rent, immediately you cannot vacate them. But when it comes to direct cost, it is okay because your raw material is proportionately you are buying for sale of goods. So the risk factor involved is very minimum because you have the order, you buy the raw material, there you can match. But when it comes to indirect cost, these two makes a very important role in your decision making. Say for example, for the case of 100 crores, you hired a warehouse and you hired an employees. Post that project, can you immediately turn off the employees? Is it possible? There are so many issues involved. So decision making will be considered this aspect also. So what is the probability of next orders? That 100 crore size orders we need to get continuously. Then only you can maintain that infrastructure or employees. So these are all the fundamentals which involved the movement of supply chain properly. Are you getting? How many are having costing, management, accounting and financial management? ಯಾರು ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ? No one? Yeah, which one you are studying?
Cost and financial.
Okay, then same. Is it both one subject or two different?
Two different subjects.
Two different subjects. How many studied accounts? Everyone? Oh, surprisingly saying everyone. Very good. Now, what is the difference between financial accounting or cost accounting or your regular accounting? What is the difference? Everywhere we use the word accounting. Now, what is the difference? What is the difference? Accounts versus cost accounts versus financial accounts or financial management. What is the difference?
Cost accounting is based on manufacturing expenses.
Okay.
And financial is overall the company's office expenditures, manufacturing, other sales expenditures, which contains all the expenses.
Okay. We'll go with the principle. Okay. Good. Right. We'll go with the principle. What is accounts? Basically, what we do? Recording of financial transactions. ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Is it a past transaction as a future transaction? Always accounts go with the past. Spend ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? There should be some event should have happened, then only you record in accounts. Correct? But when it comes to costing and financial management, is it related to present or future? Or past?
Financial management.
Costing and financial management is of past, present and future. Accounts is only past. Are you getting? Now what is meant by past, present and future? When we say past, present and future, we are going to take the data analytics of past, we are going to analyze the present situation, we are going to project it for future. So the entire combination, we call it as either costing or financial management. If you see accounts, costing, financial management or management accounting, there is one more thing, management accounting. This entire basket, if you study properly, you will see everything is linked to supply chain. The only name we don't give it as a supply chain, that's all. But the entire structure, if you study, it is entirely related to supply chain only. So from raw material vendor to the customer payment, its entire cycle, one to one. It is a supply chain. Because we are in commerce, the subjects has been divided in such a way that we cannot give the nomenclature of supply management. That's the only reason we don't give. Because we studied in bits and pieces. There's some concept, their concept. If you connect all dots put together, that is called supply management in finance. So finance will be associated with the supply management that we divide into different parts. Now you tell me working capital and cash conversion. Why working capital? Say for example cash conversion. What is meant by cash conversion according to you? What is cash conversion? From where it starts? What is meant by cash conversion? ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. We don't sit silent. It's good. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ is fine. We are here to learn. So what is cash conversion? If you spend 1 rupee, how much time it will take to get back that 1 rupee? Are you getting? Where and all will spend the 1 rupee? We may spend it for raw material, we spend it for transportation, we may spend it for vendor payments. There are so many costs associated in the process of producing a product and also delivering a product. So there is a process involved, simultaneously there is a cost associated. Yes or no? Will you agree? Now, what are all the spends you have done to recover it, right? It's a business we are doing, we are not doing charity, where we'll spend and we'll ignore. We don't do that. Whenever we spend and collect the money, what is the time involved? That is cash conversion. So there are 3 important components in that. One is inventory, second one is vendor payables, third one is receivables. These 3 are major components in deriving the what is the time 1 rupee spent and 1 rupee you got. The time how you calculate. If you spend 1 crore to get back that 1 crore, what is the time it is required? If the number of days is more, it's good or bad? Bad. Because in a year 365 days, if you have the one cycle itself is 365 days, that means 1 rupee you can generate, only one time you can invest. It's bad. Lesser the number of days, it's more productively you are utilizing the rupee. Now what are the ways you can increase the thing? Cash conversion, what are the ways you can betterment, better use of your finance? When it comes to inventory, what you can do?
Just in time.
Just in time, if possibility. Next. We use popularly called EOQ, economic order quantity. What is the combination of economic order quantity? It evaluates the price, it evaluates the demand, it evaluates the supply. All the three components we put together as EOQ, economic order quantity. There are different concepts we can use, just in time, or there are so many things, but still popularly we use economic order quantity. Where and all we use this one? Wherever there is a raw material involvement. It might be a consumable or it might be any line of single raw material. Because if you want to make a pen, there are so many components involved. Correct? At least 10 to 12 components are minimum basic direct components. Apart from that, there is a consumables also. Each product coming out will have so many components. For each component, you need to have the EOQ. So, how you can reduce the EOQ? Is there any possibility? Inventory holding period. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Raw material holding period ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಡೌನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗೂ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೀವಾ? So what is the need of minimizing it as much as possible? ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಮಿನಿಮೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ? ಸೊ ವೆಂಡರ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಿನಿಮೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟರಿ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ನ, ಅಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ದ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್, ಆಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟರಿ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್. ಇವಾಗ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡೋರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಬೆಟರ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಸ್, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡೋರು ಬೆಟರ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಸ್? ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್? If someone says 60 days, someone says 45 days, which one you choose? 60 days. If the same price, will go with the 60 days. If the differential price, again we need to see. If the same price, similar product, same quality, then definitely we'll choose for 60 days. What is the advantage? We need not to pay upfront to vendor. We will get additional 50 days grace period. Similarly, third component I said receivables. What is meant by receivables? Your customer receivables. How you can use the customer receivables? Is it a larger period is good or shorter period is good? Customers. Shorter. ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಗ ಬರುತ್ತೋ that is good for the organization. So inventory holding should be as much as possible optimal ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. We don't say minimize. It's an optimal. When it comes to vendor payment, it should be maximum. But when it comes to customer receivable, it should be minimum. Then your cash conversion ratio will be very optimal level. It will be there. Are you getting? At least you can be able to correlate what I am trying to tell you. Next, working capital. What is working capital? Anyone has a formula or something like that? What is working capital? ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂತ? Have anyone studied ratio analysis and financial management somewhere? ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ? What is meant by working? In simple terms, if you have the plant, it is good. But apart from plant and building and everything, there are certain things regularly we use. ಏನದು? ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ, ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. But apart from that, we need to spend lot of money. Apart from that, ಏನಿದೆಯೋ that is working capital. ಏನೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ? If you divide into two parts, working capital. One is current liabilities, another one is current assets. Correct? ಹೌದಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? What is current liabilities? What it consists of? Current liabilities. ಏನೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ? Short term loans, trade payables, next salary payables, rent payables, ವೇಜಸ್ ಪೇಯಬಲ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್? ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಏನೇನು ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್? ಟ್ರೇಡ್ ರಿಸೀವಬಲ್ಸ್, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೀಪೇಯ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಸಾಕಾ? ಮೇನ್ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು? ಇನ್ವೆಂಟ್ರಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್? ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ 3 parts in any inventory. ಏನೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ? Raw material, work in progress, finished goods. These are 3 components generally in any process involved. Now, whatever the minimum quantity you maintain in all these 3, that will give a more optimum results. Okay. Now, what is your working capital? Current assets minus current liabilities. That is your working capital. If it is positive, is it good or negative is good? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರಬೇಕಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರಬೇಕಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಇರಬೇಕು?
So that we can use the long-term liabilities for long-term product.
Okay. What it denotes? If the current liability is more than current assets, what it denotes?
There is a good cash flow and inventory.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಸಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್. Because our current assets, which includes bank balance also, where if it is minimal and it is less than current liabilities, we don't have any capacity to meet the regular expense also. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಕ್ರಂಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. We are more dependent on external sources. So always it should be at least minimal 1. That means current liabilities and current liabilities should match. At least it should match. It should not be less than current liabilities always. If it is more, it is good. But at least optimal is 1. That means current assets divided by current liabilities should be at least 1. If it's plus, it is good, but it should not be more also. Where we are investing more into the current assets, it denotes. So at least optimal is 1. 1 to 2 is good. Beyond 2 is bad. Bad finances. Balance sheet good, bad finances. Are you understanding? What do you mean balance sheet good?
Positive balance.
No, positive balance sheet good. That means you have less liabilities, more strong in company. Bad finances, you are not utilizing optimally. That is bad finances. As an account person, it is very good. But as a finance person, I say it is very bad. Because you are not using your finances to the maximum extent possible. So this is working capital. Next, financing in supply chain. Now, we have different sources of financing to get the raw material or to capex. That's the capital expenditures. Now, what are the ways you can raise the funds from receivables? Is there any way we can raise the funds out of receivables other than collecting from the customer area? Is there any way? ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Is there any way I can collect my money apart from you? ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ 10,000. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ನಾನು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ದುಡ್ಡು ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಯು? Is it possible? How many say it is possible?
By giving negotiable instruments.
2. They are correct. See, long back it is whatever you said is correct. That means ನಾನು ದುಡ್ಡು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರನೇ ನಾನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಇಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. That was a trend. Now we have the more opportunities in banking industry where you can do invoice discounting. Where against your invoice, I'll go to the bank. They are going to discount it for me. Instead of paying 100 rupees, they'll take their interest portion, maybe 98 or 97. They are going to give me the rupees, 97 rupees. So there is an interest cost involved, 2 or 3 rupees. It depending on the what is the span of your sale invoice. If your terms is 45 days, one rate will be there. 60 days, one rate will be there. 90 days, one rate will be there. Now, can we do this for all customers? ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ? ಯಾರಿಗಾಗತ್ತೆ? ಯಾರಿಗಾಗತ್ತೆ? Say for example, I am ಕಿರಾಣ ಅಂಗಡಿ under provision store. I have given 5,000 credit to ನಮ್ಮ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ 5,000 ಕೊಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. I have the invoice. ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕೌಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ? I know I have the PAN, Aadhaar, everything I have. Non customers there. Why they don't give? Because credit worthiness. See, ನಾನು ಯಾರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ವರ್ದಿನೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. It cannot be like ನಾನು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ won't come forward to finance it. So say for example, the same supplier I have given to the Infosys, will Infosys invoice will have the what I can say invoice discounting ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದಾ? If my customer is Infosys or Wipro or Reliance, can I do the invoice discounting? Yes, because my customers' creditworthiness matters. Because what I am dealing with, their credibility is not my credibility. I am having the finance of their credibility. Are you getting? So this is called financing modes. Other than you are raising the liabilities, you can discount your assets also. This is the one way of financing your needs. Then risk, technology and matrix. Now, in entire supply chain, we have so many risks. As Shivus are already explained, if Iran war broke out, we have the fuel deficiency. Like this, in supply chain also, we will have so many risk factors also. That also we need to consider. Second one is technology. Specifically technology, Durita Madam is going to take. In that technology part, how we can utilize or maximize our financing needs and returns by deploying the technology. That she is going to tell us. Then matrix, entire thing, whatever supply chain, finance, technology, that if you put in a matrix, how optimally you can mobilize your resources and make your cost of capital very less, give the more returns to equity holders. This is the more objective oriented. This is the supply chain works. Are you getting? Thank you.